Hey guys, it's Pastor Brett with today's daily Bible reading. As always, we want to encourage you to opt in to get these videos and the passages sent directly to your inbox. Findcommunity.com/Bible reading. You can opt in there and make this a part of your daily habit, part of your day as you dive into God's Word. And we together as a community prepare our hearts for what God has for us as we study together and dive into His Word each weekend. Today, this weekend is a special weekend, right? We're preparing for Easter, and we're looking at Holy Week, the last week of Jesus' life. And there were some really significant events that tell us who He is, that make clear what He's going to do on the cross and prepare our eyes and our heart and our minds for Easter. So let's read together in John 12, verses 1 through 8 today. Read with me. 6 days before the Passover, Jesus came to Bethany, where Lazarus lived, whom Jesus had raised from the dead. Here, a dinner was given in Jesus' honor. Martha served, while Lazarus was among those reclining at the table with him. Then Mary took a pint of pure nard, an expensive perfume, and she poured it on Jesus' feet and wiped his feet with her hair. And the house was filled with the fragrance of perfume. But one of the disciples, Judas Iscariot, who was later to betray him, objected. Why wasn't the perfume sold and the money given to the poor? It's a year's worth of her wages. He did not say this because he cared about the poor, but because he was a thief. As keeper of the money bag, he used to help himself to what was put into it. Leave her alone, Jesus replied. It was intended that she should save this perfume for the day of my burial. You will always have the poor among you, but you will not always have me. I want you to imagine this dinner scene together. They're throwing a party, a celebration to honor Jesus. And who's in attendance? Lazarus, right? Literally raised from the dead, like a ghost among us. But he wasn't a ghost. Lazarus had really experienced the power of God in his life that he was brought back to life. And so amazing was that act of grace and that act of power that, of course, there were some emotional responses. There was some thanksgiving offered. And so Mary and Martha, these sisters that we've read about in other places in the Bible, they're serving Jesus. As Martha serves, Mary takes out this perfume. She breaks it over the bottle over Jesus' feet. In those days, it wasn't as simple as having a lid that you could put on a little bit or save some for another occasion. When you opened the bottle in this way, it was forever opened. And she spreads this perfume out over Jesus' feet. Judas, in fact, told us that this is a year's worth of wages, right? An expensive perfume. This isn't going down to Macy's, right? This was a big deal in that day to have such a rare fragrance. And a couple things strike me about Mary here in offering this gift to Jesus. One is it is a response to who Jesus is. To His power, to His mercy, to His grace. Remember, this is she's seen Lazarus, her beloved, raised back to life. She has her brother back. She has her family reunited. Of course, she's overwhelmed with thanksgiving. So this is a very poignant, emotional response to what God has done. Let me ask you, do you have a clear view of what God has done for you? Of His saving mercy, of His powerful acts in your life? Do you have a clear view of His salvation in Jesus to you? Sometimes it may lead us to some radical praise, some over-the-top thanksgiving. Maybe this week, in honor of Easter, you find out what that looks like for you. Maybe it is some spontaneous worship. Maybe it's a special gift of generosity. Maybe it's carving out some time of devotion or watching Good Friday or celebrating Easter with your family. whatever it might look like for you, let's remember God's mercy and power and goodness to us in Jesus, and let's respond likewise. Let's respond in the kind of way that some around us who don't understand what we're experiencing might say, what is this person doing? Like, no, don't you see what else you could have done with that money? Don't you see what else you could have done with your time? How else you could have used your passions? Well, let's pour it at the feet of Jesus. The second thing I want to point out here about Mary's response, not only is it a response to God's grace in Jesus in raising Lazarus back to life, but she doesn't hold back. As I said earlier, when she broke the glass, she poured out all the perfume. She didn't just keep some of it for another day. It was the totality of what she had. When we think about the gifts that we bring to God, when we think about the life that he's given us and how we respond in a life of worship, what I think we're challenged with here is there is no compartmentalization. Okay, well, God, you can have this part of my life, but stay out of that part. God, I understand your wisdom in this aspect, but I don't like your teachings in this aspect of my life. God, I'll follow you on Sunday mornings. I'll be the most sold out believer, but on Monday, that's not how the real world works. I think we all, in one way or another, compartmentalize Jesus in our lives. The reminder that Mary, I think, offers us is that let's stop holding back, right? He is worthy of it all. And she pours out all the perfume on his feet. The third thing I'd like us to consider this Easter week is the intimacy here. She takes her hair and dries his feet. Now, this is a strange picture for us. That's not something that we do. There's nothing sensual about it, but it was an act of over-the-top service, of over-the-top care and adoration and celebration. Again, this is a picture that she was holding nothing back. What would intimacy with Jesus look like this week for you? As a response to his great love for you, as a response to his kindness and his mercy, and what we see on Good Friday and Easter Sunday, what would an act of intimacy look like for you? Maybe it's just carving out 10 minutes to sit in his presence and his pleasure in quiet in the midst of a busy week. Maybe it's pouring over his word and putting away all distractions and just getting lost in this word to you. Maybe for you that intimacy looks like a time of prayer, a time of special fasting. Maybe it looks like a time of celebration or communion or coming back even to church and getting back into a regular rhythm of intimacy like that. I love what we see here in Mary. This idea of it's deliberate, this idea that she holds nothing back, this idea of responding to his worth, and this picture of intimacy. Ultimately, Jesus will say, she's preparing me for my burial. She doesn't even know it, but she is preparing me for what's about to come. Let me ask us how we prepare our hearts this week for what we'll celebrate together at Easter. And I think it'll make our celebrations that much richer, that much more profound and meaningful when we go at it with this same kind of intentionality. So that's your challenge this week as we prepare for Easter. Cannot wait. I encourage you to join us online anytime Good Friday to watch our Good Friday service. And of course, Sunday morning, Easter Sunday, we're going to celebrate in the North Lawn, 9 and 10:30, both in the North Lawn in person or online. All right, guys, God bless. Cannot wait to connect with you this Easter weekend.